Oh, Lord. Working on it. Where's my headset connected to? God, can y'all hear me? Testing one, two, three. Oh my Lord. I'm trying to get to where I can see the chat. Let me check this. Okay. Evening, folks. Audio is off. Orientation is lost. I'm going to see if I can do it like this. I thought I could. I'm not sure this try. I know why. Hang on. I know why. I'm an idiot. Hang on. Okie dokie. Let's try that. I'm working it out, I hope. Y'all just bear with me. What the heck? Duh. I'm an idiot. I don't have all that stuff. Hello, come in, come in. Jesus. Guys, I'm an idiot. Almost 4 minutes in. Too much technology. Blowing my mind. I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas. Some of you folks already know because I've seen you in other chats. But I wanted to pick up where I left off last Saturday. But to begin with, how are y'all? Yeah. Let's see what I can do here while I'm waiting on y'all to tell me how y'all doing. Well, I'm attracting Canadians. Dar, Wheelburner, how y'all? RH, my brother from the state over. And Farron, Mr. Central Illinois. Most everybody in here already knows what's going on. Sorry, I'm trying to get caught up with myself. Let me mute this other one here so I don't bleed over. Oh, yeah, but y'all, y'all, you guys, you guys are what makes YouTube real for me. And it ain't just about YouTube; it's about the connections we make behind all of it. All our trucks are parked way over there. I come over here to sit. There's a little breezeway here, little carport thing, right side of one of the barges. That's what I've been doing is hauling those wood pellets up here, filling up barges that the tugboats push along. I don't know how long I'll be able to stay on live this evening because I was hurrying to get a shower because the AC went out in my truck today. And I pretty much figured out I got to rip the passenger side of the dash apart because there's two filters in these PACCAR trucks, these Peterbilts, just like the Kenworths, these new plastic trucks we got now. There's 3 cabin air filters and there's one in the bunk. Well, the 2 easiest ones to find are the one under the hood and the one under the bunk. Well, there's 2 underneath all that plastic stuff in the passenger compartment that you got to dig to. Got Freon, a compressor's kicking on, fan clutch will come on when the kicks on, but it has been 105 with a heat index of 110 to Central Arkansas. Outside of the family I got at home and the phone calls from them, the phone calls I've gotten from folks that I met through this wonderful social media platform we're visiting with each other on right now. People are saying I'm doing really, really well for the shape I'm in right now. That may be the case on y'all side of the camera. I'm just putting on a good front. My little bit of active duty time I had 3.5 years in the military helps me compartmentalize a lot. And with that being said, it goes back to the way I ramble because my brain never shuts off. It's hard to multitask and it's hard to do a single thing at the same time. We're either a jack of all trades and a master of none, or just a master of one. I've never been a versatile man, but I've always tried to be able to do things and work on stuff and think about stuff myself. Sometimes we all need help. But I can't say it enough. I do appreciate everybody's help and everybody's condolences. But I was actually right there in that driver's lounge, the other side of where the trucks are parked, Friday morning, the 28th, when our daughter had given me the call. Ladies and gentlemen, this ain't a start your engines kind of time right now for me. But about my wife, my lovely wife, Sherry. Said on the last live we started first grade in 1977. I was a roadway brat that moved us to Georgia from Alabama when the roadway opened the terminal right there at the state line, Florida and Georgia, right off of 75. A lot of you truck drivers that are in here will know Interstate 75 very well at the Florida-Georgia line. Some of you may even remember back when right there at exit 2 off I-75, way before the Flying J was ever even built. The TA that's across the road from it, back when I was a youngin', it was a 76 truck stop. And then a few miles down into Florida, there at exit 460 on 75, now sits a Pilot truck stop. When I was a kid, that was Sheffield's mom and pa truck stop. Actually, that's also the same area out there across the state line, Hamilton County, where I met my wife, and one of the sons of the owners of Sheffield's was in school with me and Sherry. Stayed in school with her from 77 to 81. So it was 77, 78, 79, 80, 81. Summer 81, my mom and her second husband divorced and moved me and my brother down a little further into central Florida, closer to the Atlantic Ocean, right along the river on the St. Johns in Palatka. Grandparents had a corner store there, and it was right on the corner of Silver Lake Road and Silver Lake Drive. You can look it up on the Google, and you can still see the old building still there now. My mom ran that store for my grandparents from 81 to 85, and then my uncle and aunt took over the store, and my mom went to work driving a sandwich truck, delivering sandwiches wholesale to grocery stores and convenience stores and stuff like that. That's how we moved back to Georgia. The company she was delivering the sandwiches for wanted to move routes back into Georgia, so our family being from South Georgia, it was a natural move for us to move back. And that was July of 86. Moved back to Georgia. 87, I turned 15. I was riding a bicycle back and forth to Hardee's to work after school. And lo and behold, Sherry was working there as a teenager as well. So we only missed a few years apart up to this point. We were so close friends that the nights we didn't have to work, if it was a Friday or Saturday night, folks all know how it used to be. You get in the car and you cruise up and down a street in your town, go to bowling alleys, go to movie theaters, hang out in the parks. Can't even do that no more. And they wonder what's wrong with kids these days because they have nowhere to go, nothing to do. So they just spend all their time doing this. It's crazy. But anyhow, back to being a teenager and sharing fond memories of her that I just can't make up. One night in particular, Sherry and her best friend came by my house and picked me up in her best friend's mama's brand new 4-door Buick Regal. So I get in the back seat. Her best friend Gina's driving. She's sitting in the front passenger seat. This is back in the, like I said, the late 80s when all the girls that were teenagers that, in the late 80s, early 90s, they all had that billboard curled over hair. It's like they walked up to an ironing board, slammed their hair down, and did this, and then sprayed it with 2 cans of hairspray and stood it back up. Yeah, and that's how them girls rode. It's a wonder it didn't cut the headboard and the headboard in the car. Headliner. That thing. I get in the back seat of the car. We take off to town. A 15-year-old boy, 16-year-old boy at the time. I had just turned 16. I'm a little rambling, but I'm trying to stay in the timeline. In the passenger seat of that car was one of them perfectly round watermelons. Some of the lines on it kind of drew facial outlines. But in the door of a car, back passenger door of the car, was a Sharpie. Yeah, this boy in a car going to town at Friday or Saturday night. I can't remember. That's been too long ago to remember exactly the date and time and how the weather was. Took that Sharpie, held that watermelon, drew a face on it. I set it right there beside me in the center of the seat, in the center of the car. In other words, every teenage boy's dream. Going to town with two single teenage girls. And my date for the whole night was a freaking watermelon. This is some really South Georgia shit, y'all. North Florida, South Georgia. And for any of y'all don't know, some of you's figured it out already. My tag handle in YouTube at SOGANOFLA Rider. That's a play on words. It's the first couple of letters from each one. South Georgia, North Florida. And I ride. When I ain't on 18, I'm on 2. That gets us through our teenage years. That's just one of the most memorable stories I'll ever have. I'm not going to be too down and depressed about getting into anything else right now. You guys have been real supportive, and it's been a big help. I said this is only my second time really going live with an audience, so I can't tell if the comments are coming through or not. But I was gonna try to see if there was anything I needed to address, because it is kind of like a ask me anything, within reason. So I'm seeing, like I said, I've already named pretty much all of you that's I can see right now. Mr. Central Illinois, Farron Hambrick. Everybody, I need to introduce y'all to Farron. He produces a YouTube channel himself. He gets real technical into motorcycle stuff. Power in the Prairie Lands. And if I'm wrong, just place it in the comments there, Farron. Link to your channel. We already know Wheel Burners got a channel because we can't get on there quick enough to yap about all the craziness in the world. And of course, Miss Dar, she's there to keep him straight. Hooligans everywhere, like Johnny Cash. And I think that's pretty much got me caught up with the comments, which it's so I own the room, huh? Just sitting here listening. Free to talk as long or short as you choose. We're here for you. Well, if y'all mean that, as quick as I got out that shower a while ago, I had my dog tags hanging up on a pin in there. And to get changed and get out here on time, I left them hanging in that shower stall. But we're on a secure lot. The driver's in there. They find them, they'll turn them into lost and found. But I will have to get back up there pretty quick because my wife's wedding rings are on there too, and I cannot believe that I just made that stupid mistake. I didn't want to miss being on time because some of these other folks that we follow, they have a bad habit of notoriously being fabulously late, and that military mindset won't let me be late for shit. I think I just had a couple more. Let's see. I remember you telling me about that, Farron, with yours too. But what sucks for me is I can't run the APU and the truck at the same time because the APU AC is fine. It's something to do with the filters, or I mean, you know how pack cars are. They're something else. So Miss Dar's asking me, She's asking me how my wife passed. Okay. My wife was diabetic. She was type 2 to begin with about 4 years ago. As we got a little older, she progressed to type 1 and then she had to take insulin shots. Well, a little over, let's see, it's August now, mid August. A little over a year ago, she had to be hospitalized. And she had to be hospitalized because we had developed in our house that we had just remodeled. It's not even a house, it's a double wide. So we'd need two trucks to move our address. But I was working in, I had went to work in Savannah on the yard managing a trailer pool for, like I said in the last live, one of the largest food grade tanker companies in the United States. They're all right, but those who know, they'll figure out who it is. But it ain't the one with the other Florida address. Well, there's actually two or three more, but anyhow, I'm rambling again. Get back to Miss Dara's question. A little over a year ago, we had a water leak in our spare bathroom. We didn't know about it because it was underneath all that brand new flooring. Well, me being on the road, because I had just bought this truck to help a friend out that got cancer and he was fixing to lose everything he owned. I had been off the road before I bought the truck. I had been off the road almost a year to try to spend time with friends and let me readjust that and family because I had been gone so long. Not just driving, but the military time and then being in Savannah all those years. We had we had moved back in September of 2018 to Georgia. Well, to Valdosta from Savannah, so still in Georgia. But anyhow, uh, Sherry's daughter, my stepdaughter, that's been my daughter since we met. I remember when she was pregnant with Amber, and me and my first wife was married. But that's all. That's all a different story. Anyhow, with that water leak developing in that spare bathroom, underneath all that new flooring, mold and mildew set in through the recirculation system, the air conditioner system. It got my wife sick, and she had to go in the hospital for respiratory issues. Then, what nothing to do with her diabetes. We got the water leak fixed, got the mold and mildew dried out, but her not wanting to take a chance of getting sick again. This was about when she went to the hospital July, first week of July last year, and she was in the hospital for a little over a week recovering from that issue. So she wasn't asthmatic up until that point. After that situation, she had developed a slight case of asthma where she would have an inhaler if she needed it. And our daughter found her mama passed away at home on that Friday morning, the 28th of July. And the coroner had noted that when he done his investigation, it was due to respiratory distress, that which caused her to have a heart attack. And a lot of you already know that the evening before, I talked to her just like it was every other night on the road when I'm home, when I'm going away from home. Good evening, Miss Shannon. Welcome aboard. Anyhow, that Thursday evening before she passed, I was out here to have a wet kit put on my truck. So I was at the hotel because they had started on it late. I had texted my wife, I'm going to have to go to the hotel because they won't let me stay in my truck with it in the shop and they're trying to mount that wet kit. So On the way to the hotel, my wife had texted me back. She was still at work, and she had texted me back that she was going to eat with her mom and her brother-in-law, which is the restaurant. It might be a 10-minute ride from the house to the seafood restaurant they ate at Thursday evening. And she would call me when she left the restaurant, headed back to the house. And she did that. And I was finishing up eating at the restaurant at the hotel. So I was on my way back up to my room anyhow. Get up there to my room. It's the usual. How'd supper go? How'd your day go? Nothing out of the ordinary. She had let the puppy out to go to the bathroom and let him back in. And she was getting herself ready to go to bed and, well, get a shower and then go to bed. Told me she loved me. And good luck getting the truck done the next morning and getting on the road with swapping divisions with these people I'm leased to. I told her I loved her. I told her good night. Told her to pet that puppy for me because he's only 6 months old. And that was what she wanted for her birthday, was a puppy. And her birthday was back in April. And I got the puppy for her. And it was just weaned, 8 weeks old when we got him. And that's when my truck was still down. I hadn't got my truck back yet from having the in-frame done. It went down on Valentine's Day. I didn't get it out the shop till April the 10th. Most of it was waiting on parts. Plus figuring out how the hell he's going to pay for a damn in-frame on a PACCAR. And the reason I did that was to keep my word to the man that I was buying this truck from. Because this month will be a year ago he's passed. And now I'm paying his wife for the truck. I don't do this. I don't tell my story for any other reason than to hope and pray that there's other people out there in this world like me. And that's most of y'all in here listening, if not all of you. Did I miss any more questions? They ain't going nowhere, Wheelburner. If they find them dog tags, there's a lost and found box right there in the driver's lounge. These are good guys. But back to telling her good night and telling her I love her. It was just like any other night that we have on the road when our significant others are home. Yeah. Some of y'all are on the road right now, and y'all get off the phone, get off of watching this rambling of mine, and talk to y'all significant others. Make it count, y'all. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one in the world that has a story similar to this, but this is my story. This is my life, and that's one thing about me. There ain't a whole lot I keep to myself, except what we got to keep to ourselves. Because if I ain't got nothing nobody can take, I ain't got nothing to lose. That's just me. But I'm done with this truck. For as good a shape as this truck's in, think about this, y'all. There's been probably between the end frame, the starter, in between that and the turbo and the actuator, plus right after the end frame got done, when I got home, I had the DOCs and the DEF canisters. I had them pulled and cleaned and baked, and just to help the system run a little bit smoother, especially after spending all that money. When I invest in something, I go 110% into an investment. I will run myself ragged to keep my word. But that's just me. And I know there's a lot of us in here, most of us, that do the same thing. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't be sharing our stories together like we're doing. But this is what's helping me deal with it. Is sharing the experiences that I've had from my point of view in relation to knowing my bride like I did. And it's there's some folks that are in the YouTube world. I don't know if I've had them in any past videos or not, but they've got past videos with me. They know who I'm talking about when I'm talking about my wife in their own way. She was definitely one of a kind. And people are already asking me, "You think you're ever gonna move on? You're ever gonna move on?" We don't ever move on. We might make different choices going forward, but we don't never really truly completely move on from that kind of history. It's always there somewhere. It may not always be evident in our actions or how we carry ourselves, but it's there. Let me see what if there's been any updates on these questions or anything. Oh, Dar, I appreciate you saying that. And for as terrible as it was losing my wife unexpectedly, y'all, the moment my daughter called Friday morning and said that she couldn't get a hold of Mama, and her mama had not showed up to work on time, and her mom was the kind that she would be there to get the shop opened up so the mechanics could get to work. Yeah, she worked at a Volvo dealership. It's a franchise Volvo dealership, but it's still. She had just a month before she passed got her certifications through Volvo North America to be a master service manager. She was well on her way. You know what I just realized? I was telling y'all about the house and why she got sick. Then I told you how she died. Let's go back because I'm getting myself crossed up. When she got out the hospital back in April of 22, she made a deal with me. She wanted to learn how to ride a motorcycle herself. I didn't need that big old Chieftain I used to have that's in some of my previous videos. So I sold the Chieftain. The money I sold the Chieftain for, I put a down payment on that camper that once she got out the hospital, we had it set up on our land and we were staying in it till we could fight with the insurance company about the double wide. The insurance company finally wouldn't never settle, so we had to go through the whole rigmarole of we're going to hire a lawyer, we're going to sue your pants off because you're not keeping up with the insurance and this, that, and other. We had to threaten them with that. Then we went to the insurance commissioner in the state of Georgia. Well, it just so happens his office is in Atlanta. And Atlanta ain't what I consider part of Georgia. Come to South Georgia. Come to my part of Georgia. Or anywhere but Atlanta. Savannah's getting as bad. When I worked over there, shit, it was like the East Coast of LA. There was somebody getting shot or something at least once a day. But that's what we were doing. We were making do because of all these commitments we made to other people. And when our daughter called and said that she couldn't get a hold of Mama and she was on her way to check on her, I had told her to get off the phone with me and I was going to call the sheriff's department and have a wellness deputy come by and do a wellness check to meet Amber there in case my wife did have it, in case she was having a diabetic episode. Who knows? I mean, I would never thought it would have been nothing like that. Even though she was mildly asthmatic, it wasn't like she was always having to catch her breath. She wasn't. Our daughter could not remember anything after she got there and opened the door and found her mama passed away. It was the coroner that had told me that even when he went in there to check her, to see if he could help revive her or something, it was already too late. She was blue from the chest up. And she did have a breathing machine that she had borrowed from my mom. And the doctors did have her on a prescription of albuterol, but it was only as needed. It's the same stuff that comes in the inhalers. And the breathing machine was running. The mask was on the floor. All those years of me telling her to pay attention to that safety briefing they give you at the beginning of an airplane flight. Put your mask on first. Put your mask on first. She literally worried about everybody else ahead of herself, to where her last living act was trying to put that mask on. This rabbit hole gets a lot deeper, y'all. Let's see. I know. At least it ain't one of Will Burner's cigars. I just could never get into cigars. Like I said on the last live, this choice I make keeps me out of prison. And Dar's saying, oh, after Shannon said good evening, Dar's saying, every day is so precious. And what is my most favorite memory of her? My favorite memory of my wife was when she'd look at me and she'd say, shut up, Buck. You talk too much. How's that song go? What is that, Earl Thomas Conley? If they could only see me now. Here I am talking too much. I will tell you a funny story that has to do with Sherry. And it was actually her mama, too. Back when we were in elementary school together. We also went to the same church. The preacher's wife used to come get me from the church, off the floor, the back, under the pews, whatever, because I wouldn't. I was always underneath, running back and forth under the pews, carrying on, interrupting the preacher. She would always have to get me, pick me up, get me, make me sit up there beside her and behave, so her husband could give the sermon. And her mama, my mother-in-law, Miss Rosie, she everybody she meets, and if I'm with her or whatever, and I'm home, and we're taking her to eat or taking her to her doctor's visits or something like that, or anybody she ever meets, this is my son-in-law, Buck. Back when him and Cherry was in elementary school, she'd go on and on in that spiel about how I would never shut up. That was that's one of them. There's other memories I can share too, and it ain't X-rated stuff. It's things about what her line of work was before. Well, when me and her met, well, me and her engaged and got married, because she had went on to be a single mom years ago, and it was tough on her. Like I said, she had never been out of the state of Florida or Georgia until we got married. I'll tell you another good memory. I'll give you a twofer. The first concert I ever took my wife to, first person she ever saw in concert live, took her to Sasser, Georgia. Look that one up on the map, y'all. To a flea market. And at this flea market was a little old shack. And that night, I took her to see Joe Diffie. That was October of 2013. He had recently had a song out with Derek Thrasher from the Georgia Boys. That Girl Riding Shotgun. That song was out back then. Derek showed up that night and they sang it together on stage. That was a good night too, because that was about an hour and a half drive from the house to little old nowhere, Safter, Georgia, outside the other side of Albany, between Albany and Columbus, Georgia, but closer to Albany. And Sasser is not far from Dawson, which is not far from, I said Albany, and then you got Leesburg, and that whole hot area is a hotbed for producing musical talent. Namely, Otis Redding was born in Dawson, Georgia, years ago. In Terrell County, we have uh, Chase Rice, I think's his name. He went to Georgia Southern with Luke Bryan, and Luke Bryan's also from Leesburg. Oh, and that American Idol winner, that Philip Phillips. I mean, he didn't do a whole lot, but his folks did have a pawn shop in Albany. But that's little stuff about life that would aggravate my wife, because I love to know the history of the my 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 stomping grounds. Maybe I can put a video together. What's that? What's that, Hooligan? What did you just say? I'll answer that real quick. I got friends in Madison, not far from Social Circle, in Athens area. Matter of fact, next weekend that trip, me and my wife had a trip planned for the end of the month. Yeah, there's a YouTube lady that's over from Australia. Her name's Barbering Biker by Aussie and the Indian. She's over doing a 3-month tour right now. My wife wanted to go meet her. She's got a planned stop in Waynesville, North Carolina on the 28th, Tuesday the 28th, if I'm not mistaken. My wife wanted to go meet her because she was friends with a fellow that we've got to be friends with behind the scenes. Let's see what else. Got the favorite memory of her. Shannon, Darcy, and So True Shannon, and Big Dog's in the house, man. I hope you're still around. I'm sorry, I'm just now getting to your comment, brother. Well, Shannon, you don't have to thank me for sharing. I thank y'all for listening, because this is part of what helps me heal. And I can't believe I've been at this for 43, almost 44 minutes now. Our daughter, Amber. Well, she's got a 7-year-old grandson. She's got a 7-year-old son of hers, Mason. I'm Papa, even though I'm not blood. There's a long story with that too. Amber was, when me and Sherry got married in 2008, Amber was 12. So she was born in 94, so she's 29 now. She will be 30 on Pearl Harbor Day. Yeah, our daughter's born December 7th. I can get back in. I can get into the rest of the kids' birth dates too, and that's another mind blower for everybody when I tell them about that. But yeah, she's 29, and she took after me with the lead foot, because when I had got home from Korea, before I went in the military, I used to race dirt track cars. But when I got home from Korea, I got me another dirt track car. And after I got discharged from the military, service connected disabilities, most of it up here. Yeah, same one, Hooligan, Amber. And that bike, that Boulevard, I've got it back at the house now. Amber's got her a Rebel 1100 just since I bought that bike in January. So kudos to my daughter and her fiance. You can see the videos back, my shorts and stuff, that back in November, before I bought that bike for her, she was learning on one of my Rebels, one of my 250s, one of the ones I donated to Forgotten Angels down there. Appreciate the sidetrack. Needed that for a second. Because you notice I still ain't lit this damn thing. Too busy talking. But back to the story at hand. She's got her Rebel 1100 now. That Boulevard was going to be the next thing to train another lady, and I was going to start teaching Sherry on that Boulevard. So there's for as much history as and as much notoriety as that Boulevard's got, just before I got it for Amber, and I was lucky getting it too, because when Shea Tree Surgeon made that announcement that he was selling that, gonna help Shay sell that bike for her to start that chopper project of hers. There was a lot of other folks wanted their hands on that motorcycle, and I know it's a wonder they didn't put it up to raffle it off either. And I can see why they didn't, because the bikes they raffle off, that's for Forgotten Angels. That's for those hurricane victims. You know that they done with the Harley dealership and everything. They really couldn't take personal projects and you know, intertangle them. That's just bad business, and they kept it separate to, for a reason, and I understand that, and I'm sure we can all get it. So whenever I am home and I have to see that Boulevard, that's a double-edged sword there too, because I know Josh helped Shay get that bike when she got back down here to Florida, when she got back down there to Florida rather, because and that's what helped her start. That's what she got started on her channel with, and they're all doing great things too, just like we are. Even on a shoestring budget, we're out here doing great things, because we can make anything look good on camera. But back to off the side track, back on the tracks here. The stuff with my wife and everything up to the point where I got you up to our teenage years, and then a little into when we got married and all. The reason I don't have Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or Twitter, whatever the hell you call it. When I was stationed in South Korea, right out of basic training, right out of AIT, my first duty station was in South Korea. I was 34 years old in 2006 when I enlisted. I know I don't look it. Ladies, calm down. I'm still taking. Please, hold your applause. I can't do no fancy sound effects like all these other YouTubers. Back to being stationed in South Korea and being 34 years old. Anybody here that's prior military will understand this. When you're a lower ranking soldier, you're not allowed to hang around folks higher ranking than you. It's called fraternization. They frown on it. At the same time, me being 34 years old and me being a brand new E2 into the Army, I really couldn't hang around people younger than me either. That's because I just shaved, when I got a shower. And I don't have to have this truck no more and this lease agreement with these folks to have, keep a clean face. My beard will be back. So I was in a weird spot when I got to Korea. And that was February of 2007. Yep, February 2007 when I got there, after I got through with basic training in AIT. There was this it was a brand new hot thing back then in 2007, 2006, 2007 called MySpace. That burnt me on those type of social media sites. From then on, I swore them off. But that's how me and Sherry reconnected. I had created a MySpace account, had a laptop in my room so I could do correspondence courses and stuff. And I said, well, let's check this out. Maybe I can find some people back home I can stay in touch with long distance by just sending them messages and stuff. And lo and behold, there was Sherry's picture. And that profile picture still had that billboard hair from when we were teenagers. And keep in mind now, this is 2007. It was the late 80s when we worked together as teenagers. And I could still pick her out of a crowd. Maybe it was meant to be. But I just didn't expect to be sitting here sharing memories of her. I was hoping I could still be making memories with her. Okay, I got sidetracked there a second. Ugh. I'm gonna like this damn thing sooner or later. The MySpace wound up, by the time I got through with that first duty station that year, I was there a year. It wound up being so much drama with my ex-wives and just other people and this, that, and other. And I was like, no, I will never do this again. Then I get out of Korea and PCS back home. My orders took me to Fort Stewart. The unit I was assigned to had just deployed to Iraq 2 weeks before I got to Fort Stewart. So I had to stay home 6 months dwell time anyhow because I was gone a year. For those that were in the military, you'll know what I'm talking about. And during that 6 months, I was in training to join my unit downrange. Then Sherry and I got married on the 25th of July, 2008. 3 days later, I deployed to Iraq. 15 years later, on July 25th, we celebrated our 15th wedding anniversary. For those that have seen my wife's obituary, look back at the day she died. And those who didn't see my wife's obituary, she passed away on Friday morning, the 28th of July, 3 days after our 15th wedding anniversary. So 15 years to the day. I think I said this in my first live about this. I deployed to Iraq, 2008, July 28th. 2023, July 28th. My wife deployed to heaven, 15 years to the day. I will keep repeating that because it has that much significance and it carries that much weight. And the hoping and sharing that and repeating that it helps people make the best of every minute they have. And I'm starting to feel guilty now because I'm getting up on the hour mark here, and I've really held you guys' attention for almost a whole hour, and I do appreciate it. I appreciate y'all listening to my story, because it's not just my story; it's her story through me. Just my take on how her story was supposed to be. You can tell me to shut up when I get there, honey. I just appreciate y'all hanging out. But I do need to get back to my dog tags, and I'm gonna smoke this, but I'm not gonna try to piss off the algorithm. But I'll I will I will put another notice out so I can continue this talk. I could talk all night, but I really literally got out of the truck a while ago from getting my day done because I did get my 4 in, Shannon. I got my 4 in, by the way, today. So that makes day 5, so that's 20. I hadn't had anything to eat yet, so I think it's a good time to stop this story now. That way I'll have more for a part 3, hopefully next weekend, before I have to before I have to pack and get ready to take that trip in honor of my bride. I don't have a motovlog set up. I don't have a camera set up on my bike. I'm gonna try to work on that this week so I can film some of that journey. Because I originally started this YouTube channel with the focus of having it centered around motorcycles, and it kind of does. And I touched on this with some of the guys that are in the chat privately behind the scenes. Some of the, some of them, some of the folks in the chat right now, they know what the significance of that new motorcycle I have is, and it has nothing to do with my introductions to Chief Soganopla. That's what I call my bike. This is this is totally unrelated to that, but it's related to it because it's about that motorcycle in particular. And I know material things don't matter to people when it comes down to it, but we all have things we hold on to for sentimental reasons. Mine just has to be, mine just happens to be a 600 plus pound piece of therapy for me. I mean, it started being therapy for my PTSD. I will, Farron. Don't you worry. Because this little South Georgia redneck needs all the help he can get. Because I'm the kind of, I can figure out how to put a round peg in a square hole. Or square peg in a round hole. It might even involve a torch or a grinder or that spoon that they use to dig out of the cells in Alcatraz with. You never know. But as we're coming up on the hour mark, I will look through these one last time, see if there's anybody else that hadn't joined in yet. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see. Don't need to be alone here. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm feeling like throwing wrenches. Dying Breed, welcome. Even though you're saying hello to Shannon, glad you're here. Even though I'm going through the list right now. I may miss somebody, but for now, now, y'all. That's I may have missed somebody, but for now, those that's been here and listening to this story, because I don't know whether this channel is gonna go or not, and that's the thing about YouTube for me. I'm not here for not monetization. I'm here for the community. I'm here for the connection, the story we can tell, the stories we can listen to, the advice, the drama. Who can't live without drama, right? But I'm gonna say salute to everyone as we get to this hour mark. I don't know if y'all can read that or not, but my wife was especially proud that I got that tattoo. And for any of y'all who know the verse, I don't really know which Bible verse it is, but this is a kind of a layman's way of putting it together. But Those of us that know the song 8th of November, that was the last sentence that in that monologue that Chris Christopherson gave. And I proudly wear this ink for every veteran, every serviceman, every servicewoman who paid the ultimate price. I personally knew two. They wasn't in the same unit I was in Iraq with. They were in two different places at two different times. One of the fellas that paid the ultimate price for our freedom I was in high school with. And the other one gave me my nickname when I was in basic training. And when I got to AIT, they let us go home 2 weeks for Christmas from AIT. Get the next door neighbor, buddy of mine I went to high school with, he done that ink. That's a Volkswagen emblem. And it's shaded in green. It was, that's the color of my first car was a Beetle. And that logo may look familiar to y'all from the show Monster Garage with the earth turning in the middle and the flames coming off of it. That's what that logo was. That was the first tattoo I ever had done. This was the last one. But see if any of y'all can guess. I'm fitting to show y'all the tattoo that represents the nickname I got when I was in when I went in the army. And there's a hint right there. Because I done told you how old I was when I went in the military. A shout out to Dale Walksler, Wheels Through Time Museum. Even though he's not sponsoring the channel, that museum is run off of charity and donations to keep rolling America's history alive. I'm gonna move it right here so y'all can see it a little better. Can y'all tell me who that is? Don't say it's a wolf with a dang rat tail. Don't say it's a rat with a wolf face. It's not. It might be a rat, but it's a specific one. See if I can move in a little closer. I don't know what the winner will get. Nope, not Shredder. You're close though. You close though, hooligan. That's it, Breed. That was the nickname I got when I went to basic training because I was, like I said, 34 years old and already lived life and went through basic and AIT with kids half my age. One of the boys that passed away that was in AIT, basic training and AIT with me, that he lost his life downrange in Iraq. And he was from New York. His last name was Tinsel. Like, well, the tinsel garland you hang on your Christmas tree. He spelled his last name the same way too, Tinsel. He was a good dude. Some of you I've met, some of you I've talked to on the phone. You're all solid people. Sure appreciate y'all listening to me. Even though I run 4 minutes past the hour. I'm gonna cut it off here, y'all. I appreciate y'all's time. I'll catch up with you on y'all's channels. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. Each and every one of you, thanks. Appreciate y'all's time.